All right. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Eric Hunting from Parts Unknown with my tag team partner, Anissa.
Hello.
And this is going to be our breakdown and review of the latest Pioneer Valley Professional Wrestling PvP event that happened on June 18th, 2023. And this one was called Big Daddy Energy. This is our way of celebrating Father's Day. So to all the fathers out there watching, happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, my love.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And man, when they said Big Daddy Energy, there was a lot of energy in the room this time. It was
electric.
Boogie, woogie, woogie. There was a lot happening. As we always do, we'll get the cast of characters out there. We had two referees tonight. We had Ref Gina, also known as Blue Shoes in some areas, who is just an amazing referee.
She is no nonsense.
Yeah.
I enjoy watching her.
She takes no guff from nobody. And then you have the best hair in refereeing, and that's Ref Bill. Ref Bill is one of my favorite guys.
Always a gentleman. He is such a nice fella.
He's such a good dude. And we had our announcer extraordinaire, Cameron Coe.
He just gets better and better.
Nails it as always.
And I love that things kind of changed on the fly, because you never know with Matthew James.
Yeah.
Bless him. And Cameron just said, okay, and he went with it.
He went with it, yep. Rolled with the punches.
Yep.
We had our man on the camera running the video, and that was Louis Summity. He is one of those guys that he was a fan, and he just rolled into a position, and he helps wherever, whenever, however, doing whatever. And he literally does it all. Whatever they ask him to do, he does with a smile on and a yes, and goes right along.
Also a good fella.
He's a good guy. I really like Louis.
I can't forget Dakota.
Running the door, as always, was Dakota. Got us to our seats, and all of that, how that worked out. But you know what? She's a trooper. She makes sure that everybody gets in safe and sound. And,
she's just lovely.
Yeah, she's a good guy.
She's a good guy.
She's a good guy.
She's a good guy.
I meant what I said. I said what I meant.
She's an all-around beautiful person.
we had our GM, Matthew James, finally fully in charge, and
he took advantage of it.
He was in charge. Now,
oh, bless.
we were running a little behind schedule.
I'm sorry.
These things happen. Not a big deal. So we got there just a little late. There's a preliminary match. We were getting there just as the 3 count was hitting the mat. I think Ref Gina was the ref in there. Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3. I got it. Click. Got a picture of Bobby Bishop winning his match. And from what I read online, he's a guy out of Alaska.
Woo!
And he's come to this end of the Americas, and and looking to get in. I guess he's been paying his dues, and they finally found him a spot. And
well, hopefully we get to see him.
And hopefully we get to see him more, because we saw him be able to get the pin. So I'd like to see a bit more.
So congratulations.
Yep. So good on him. That was that, and then there was still a little bit of running around and getting to say your hellos. And then AJ Cruz came out, and he had a couple of birthday wishes to give out. And then
Happy birthday to all.
And then he did a full coverage of Father's Day wishes, and which we all did. And then he had some great news about his son, some heartfelt messages about his son being epilepsy free,
for 5 years.
For 5 years now, which is just amazing.
That makes my heart so
I'm
happy.
so happy for that whole family, for
Yes.
everything that they've gone through.
You can't find a family that deserves
No,
good news like
no,
that more.
they are. And it was a heartfelt moment. He had his son up in the ring, and
He is such a cutie. I mean, he's 16 now. And saying he's a cutie, but I'm old, so I can say that he's a cutie.
But it was a great moment, and then all of a sudden, out come Hammer Tunis. We didn't know exactly where it was going to go, but we all had our feeling as to where it was going to go. He came out and he had some nice words to say to Davian and,
well, we
AJ.
can't forget that he was followed by Jason.
Right. He had his brother Jason with him. And
so you knew there was trouble brewing.
And then, well, they were setting up for the main event match, and the main event match is going to be we'll get to it, for the main event, but they were setting up the particulars for it, and that was a triple threat for the PvP championship, which would be AJ Cruz, Hammer Tunis versus the champion Scotty Wilde. And here's AJ Cruz pouring his heart out about his family and the things that they've gone through over the past few years, and then here's Hammer saying, I feel for your family. I've known you since we were kids and all this, and then but if you didn't and then if you didn't have all this, you wouldn't have had to take this time off. You wouldn't have had to have, put things on hold, and then, it was just, everybody was tugging at somebody's heartstrings, and he kind of
kicked him in the teeth.
Yeah, he kind of got a little.
But good for AJ Cruz
for
standing his Cruz and giving Hammer something to think about.
And also gave Jason something to think about too. He kind of put a bug in his ear saying, you don't need to put up with this.
Free Jason. Run. You can do better.
And we also were, when Matthew James was in the ring, had also mentioned that, that Alex Cypher was without employment anymore, and he was looking for said employment somewhere, some way. And so Matthew asked him if he would like to manage. And of course, Alex was like, "Of course, I'd love to manage."
He jumped at the chance.
And he should have read the fine print before he jumped at the chance.
Well, desperate people do desperate things.
He was also asked, do you want to manage all night long? And he said, yes. Well, sure enough, the pizza showed up, and he was asked to manage the food booth.
That pizza was actually pretty good, too.
It was pretty good. So at some point, for some reason, there was a chant of Pizza Putz instead of Pizza Hut going around. It got a little wild and woolly there for a minute, as it usually does when it pertains to Alex Cypher.
Isn't that the truth?
All that being said, that brings us up to the first official match, which was...
I mean,
it took a while to get us started. It really did.
There was a lot. I mean, when you go to a PvP show, it's a show.
Yeah, from start to finish.
Yeah.
And like a Marvel movie, do not leave your seat until you are damn sure it's over. Because you never know what might happen at the end.
You really need to get there.
And you got to get there ahead of time.
Sorry.
So that brings us to our first official match, which was a singles match between the Tracksuit Brute, the godfather of the Chokeslam, the Dawn of the Pioneer Valley Professional Wrestling, Chris Benet.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
I love him.
We're not supposed to cheer for him, but here we are.
And
he was followed by his family, which was Jay Haru and Pedro Donas. And these guys, well, I mean, we'll get to it. But and he was facing Fancy Ryan Clancy, who was seconded by Marshall McNeil.
I love Marshall.
Which Marshall's one of the legends of the area, and he's just
Ryan still has to earn my respect. He's getting there, but not quite. And I'm sorry.
Tonight was not the night. Not for Ryan Clancy.
No.
Most of the room was cheering and behind and backing Fancy Ryan Clancy. There were two people in the front row, left-hand side, that were not cheering for Fancy Ryan Clancy, and that would have been us. Like I said, he's just one of our guys, and we've been backing him since day one.
I know.
When we didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
And here we are. We promised him we'd buy a shirt almost 6 years ago.
And we did.
And we did, and he was happy with that. Not this one, though. It was the
red one.
The red one with his face on it.
Right.
But, that being said, this was an interesting match. The story behind it was, I guess, Doc Harrisy had hired Chris Benet to take care of some business because they've had their issues with him. So here's Chris, but he's also had some of his own issues with his boys and
his cinder blocks.
Yeah, well, one of them may be tied to a cinder block. We may not know about it. Just saying, it was a hard-hitting match. I'll tell you that much. And
any match that Chris Benet is in is a hard.
It's a hard-hitting match. That guy pulls no punches.
I do have to say, good for Ryan for holding his own.
he proved himself to be able to take an ass whooping and come out on the other end of it, even though Jay Haru might have had something to do with something. And how that ended. Jay Haru might have put himself in a position, put him in a position where he shouldn't have been, and
upside down.
It didn't work, and Chris was not happy about it, and neither was Pedro Donas either. He wasn't too happy about it.
But we'll definitely get into that one.
So Ryan Clancy ended up getting the win, but it was a bit of a shock to Chris. He was not happy.
There's an understatement.
But Ryan took the W. Good for him.
I'm really surprised after that choke slam. I don't know how
to the knee. Bam! Oh.
I thought that's it.
Yep.
It should have been.
It should have been, but there were outside forces.
Yeah.
I'm just glad for Marshall McNeil's sake that he didn't get too involved, because he doesn't need that heat.
He wasn't dressed for it. But he was dressed nicely.
His Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
So that brings us up to match 2, and that would be the women's championship match.
Oh my goodness.
Which was challenger Evie De La Rosa. She's the Puerto Rican badass, 100%.
She is incredible.
And versus our champion, Big Juicy.
Who is also incredible, but in a completely different way.
Different vibes altogether.
They are opposite ends of the spectrum. They really are.
One's rainbows and butterflies, and one's motorcycles and ass kicking. And it was a hell of a match. It really was. Evie really brought it to Big Juicy. Mm-hmm. She pushed her to her limits. I think this is one of Juicy's biggest tests that she's had, and they've faced before in other places, and we've seen it. Mm-hmm. But this was one of their better matches against each other too. This one had me on the edge, and I was afraid that it was going to go another way.
But Juicy gave as good as she got.
She did.
I mean, some of those chops that she gave to Evie, holy cow!
Some of the best chops of the night came out of that match.
Yep.
It was there was stuff in there that Big Juicy has taken and had to deliver that she's never done before, and she really got pushed to her limits by Evie. Evie is no friggin' joke. She is just something else. I mean, she's on another level. She's been at it for a long time too. She's not new.
No.
She's not no, rookie. She's been around, and
and it shows.
And man, why isn't she somewhere else? Like on another level. But keep her around where we got her too, because
we're kind of selfish. We like seeing her.
But she's doing a lot of good for the younger talent. With other younger talent, not just Juicy, other people too that we've seen. And man, you're not supposed to like her, and it's kind of hard to like her. She gives you all the reasons not to, but there's a difference between like and respect too.
Yeah,
and respect the heck out of her talent. She's very talented, but Big Juicy, just
now there's someone who is easy to like.
If you don't like Juicy, stay away. I don't need you in my world. She's right there. That's our Big Juicy.
She is just so genuinely
good. She's a good person. She's one of the best people.
I
absolutely love
out of her.
Yeah.
It shines out of her. But she can flip that switch and she can go.
She got serious in that match a couple of times where she was like...
after Evie, I forget what move it was, but she caught her right in the nose. And I thought, oh my goodness, did she break her nose? Because, ouch.
Yeah.
And she was checking herself, but you could see just a little seed of...
That's it. It's on. And it was on. And she ended up getting the win. She's surprised to herself. Big Juicy pulled it out. She was kind of shocked. I'm not really shocked, but because I thought maybe...
With Evie, I thought
I think that crowd would have revolted if Evie had won. We would have had a riot on our hands.
But, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She fought for that.
Yep. She fought and earned that win. That's for sure. That's for sure. Big Juicy did. And so that brings us up to our first tag team match, which was the Brick City Boys, which we've talked about them in the past, versus Midnight Mullets.
Ugh.
50 Cal and Love Doug.
Can I just say something right here, right now?
Again,
all these
probably.
Young fellas walking around with mullets. I don't know what people's obsession with the 80s is. It was the worst decade ever. I know because I was alive during the entire time. I birthed my first child in the 80s. I'm old. I've been alive since 1969. I've seen 7 decades now. 7. And the 80s were the worst. Leave the mullets in the past. They're awful. Awful. Leave the 80s gimmicks in the past. You look ridiculous. I'm not trying to tear you down. I'm trying to give you some advice. Ugh. Anyways.
You heard it here first, folks.
80s are bad. Unless you reach your 80s. That's a whole different story.
Anyway. So this match it started out with a battle for the best mullet between Love Doug, 50 Cal, and
Brick City Boys.
One of the Brick City Boys. I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember which one is which, and I should have. But one has a mullet, one doesn't.
Again with the mullets.
But anyway.
3/4 of the participants were wearing mullets.
So anyway, that got done, where they were trying to get the crowd behind one of the three, and I don't think there was ever really a winner declared on that, but it was fun to watch.
The crowd knew better.
And then the match started, and it was a crazy tag team match. Ref Bill never had control of this match.
God bless him. And he tried.
He said, "I want one in, I want one out," and they didn't listen. They weren't listening to the counts. They weren't. It might as well have just been a free-for-all match, because they never once, barely ever played by the rules of a tag team match.
Well, let's be fair. The Brick City Boys don't really play by the rules.
Well, no. I mean,
but I have to admit, for my lack of interest in their hair and what comes with it, it was a damn good match.
it really was. It was a fun match. It was a great match. It was
a blink and you miss it match.
Yeah, there was something everywhere. There was something everywhere. They were all over the place. They were up in the air. They were.
I felt bad for Ref Bill because
he didn't know where
to look.
He didn't know where to go. But bless him, he did a great. He did the best he could with what he had. It was hard hitting for a couple of times there. For a bit, they were putting a beating on each of them.
Gosh, the handprint on Love
And that was
back.
And that was just to break up the count.
Yes.
That was just a slap on the back to break up the count, and there was a handprint literally on in the small of his back.
And it stayed through the rest of the match.
It was crazy.
And I thought, man, that's going to leave a mark tomorrow. That's going to be a bruise.
It was left a mark right then. You could literally see the man's hand on his back. It was crazy.
I mean, that just goes to show you that these people put their bodies out there for our entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. And you just have to be appreciative of what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, you've also got to be a special kind of crazy to put your body on the line.
Well, they all, and I don't just mean the four that were in this match. I mean, the whole night. They all proved to be that special kind of crazy. But you know what? We love that special kind of crazy. You know?
I think they need to name a show
Special Kind of Crazy. So, with everything that happened in that match, the Brick City Boys ended up pulling out the W.
Which was really not surprising, but it was surprising in the fact that you didn't know which way it was going to go.
Yeah,
because it could have gone either way.
You didn't have a preconceived notion as to how this match was going to go.
I mean, how long have the Midnight Mullets been together? Not long.
This was their first
match. And you wouldn't have known it.
Because Matthew James was on a podcast last week, and they were talking about this match. And a few months ago, they had announced that the Midnight Mullets were going to be a team. But Love Dug had gotten hurt. So Love Dug was replaced by Aaron Morrison, and they called them the New Midnight Mullets. So the New Midnight Mullets have had more matches than the Midnight Mullets.
You know,
up until tonight.
We're saying those words so many times, they're starting to mean nothing.
But when he first said it, I was like, oh, you're right. What? Welcome to professional wrestling, everyone, where nothing really makes any sense.
I mean, it was great because they really worked well together.
Yeah, they do. They have a somewhat similar style, 50 cal and Love Dog, not just their hairstyle. I mean, they have a similar type of wrestling style, and they complement each other well with it. And they did a dual suicide dive out of the ring.
Yeah.
Which I was like, whoa, shit.
Well, I like that they nodded to each other, and boom, it was done.
They spoke to each other without speaking to each other, and it worked.
That's a good tag team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like us.
Well, nobody's like us.
That's true.
So anyway, so the Brick City Boys took the win on that one. That brought us up to our PvP All Valley Championship match, which was Big Bacon, Brad Hollister.
Boo.
She said it, not me.
I mean, boo.
And versus the champion, RJ Rude.
Yay!
Who we absolutely love. I love RJ Rude. I'm a fan of Bacon, but I also know,
I'm just a fan of RJ Rude.
He's up here somewhere.
Yeah, he's behind you.
Right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. Bacon's up there too. Right up there.
I tried to,
All right. So now this match was unbelievably
That was
this was like the stiffest match I've ever seen. There was.
It's like they have a personal grudge against each other.
It's like the people you know the best are the people you want to beat up the most. I don't know. These guys have known each other for a long time, but Bacon is on a tear right now, and not just in PvP.
No,
all over New England he is.
And RJ Rude is really, every time he wrestles, he just gets better and better.
He's proving more and more that this singles run is a good thing for him.
It's an excellent thing for him.
And he's really finding himself as a singles wrestler.
Yep.
His movesets have really improved. Mm-hmm. Thank God he can take a beating, because he took one tonight. there was a couple of those suplexes, and
he's young.
Yeah,
I think that works in his favor.
We've used the term already, but he's gonna feel that in the morning, and if he's not feeling it right now, because man, what a match! There was just.
It was in and out and up and over and on the mat.
I know that Big Bacon is not too keen on how Ref Gina counts.
He was a little confused. It turned into a Bugs Bunny skit at one point.
He said 2, 3. The fans were, informing him that it was 2, and it went back and forth a few times, more than a few times. You gotta love that fan interaction when you go to an indie show. There's just something about it when they get you involved too. It's just so much fun.
It's magic.
It's something that you're not gonna really get at that big time show. Like the WWE or an AEW. You're not gonna get that kind of interaction.
I feel like the big shows, they're kind of a once in a while treat. But they're not meat and potatoes. That's what your indie shows are. They're your meat and potatoes. Those are what fill you up. They're what sustains you. They're what you keep coming back for. Mm. And you might go to a big show and get a little treat now and then.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta. I mean, now if you say we go to an AEW show, you're gonna be there supporting people that we were just watching on the indies.
Right.
2-3 years ago.
Right.
Because they've been hiring people that we know.
Right.
But even WWE, depending on where you go.
Yeah, but what I like about it is some of those AEW guys, they come back to the indies. Yeah, and I like that you don't feel separated. Yeah. It makes you feel closer to what's going on.
They remember where they came from because they were just there.
Right, exactly. And not to knock the other guys, I'm not trying to do that. No. But I like
There's a looser rein on them.
I like that promotion respects their fans enough to say, hey, you know what? This is where you came from and this is who is watching us. Let's keep them focused on us by going back and saying thank you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. So this was again for the PvP All Valley Championship trophy, which is pretty cool that they do a trophy. Mm-hmm. Because it's called the All Valley, which was kind of taken from Karate Kid, the All Valley. That's where that comes from. But
another 80s thing.
Anyway, RJ Rude ended up retaining his championship
another
trophy.
One that could have gone either way.
And you might not have been happy with the outcome, but you wouldn't have been surprised by the outcome.
No, that's true. I definitely wouldn't have been happy about it. And I would have been vocal about not being happy about it. But it was nice that I was happy regardless. I was happy with RJ Rude retaining because I think he deserves it, and he fought against Bacon, who I do not like him, but I do respect him. I think he's talented, but I didn't want to see him win.
So that brought us to the intermission, which
thank God there was an intermission, because
but that 15 minutes went quick. It didn't seem like we had the full 15 minutes, but we
No.
did.
Well, it's because people were busy the whole time.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we were just sitting there and twiddling our thumbs. There was action going on here, people here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah. No, but then we came back from an intermission, and that brought us into a tag team match, which was a returning of old school cool Corey Michaels. And then we saw the Candyman, who is just a young kid who's paying his dues, getting out there, making the towns.
Jesus, is he a big fella?
He's a tall drink of water.
The feet on him.
Good underpinnings.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Versus Chris Benet's family of Jay Haru and the shot caller, Pedro Donez. Yeah.
Let's just say one kind of carried the other.
There was still some animosity from what happened in the beginning of the night with Chris. Chris came out with them and then walked out. He says, "You guys are on your own." He was not happy with how his boys performed in the beginning of the night, so he wasn't going to watch them perform in their match. Yeah. It was cool to see Old School back. We'd seen him a couple of times. We only saw him a handful of times before he kind of disappeared into the ether, and he like completely disappeared from everywhere. But it was,
sometimes you need to recharge those batteries.
and it was cool to see him. One of the last times we saw him was at the Cove during the Flores Lava match.
Right.
That was one of the last times we saw him.
That was what, 5, 6 years
Almost
ago?
6 years ago. So, yeah, coming up on 6 years ago.
I have to say, with the Candyman, which feels really weird to say, and this isn't meant to be a pun, but what he did was very sweet. By throwing candy out to the crowd.
He pandered. He pandered to the audience.
Hey, and that's a great way to get eyes on you.
No, he did a great job at what he was doing. He was getting the kids involved, and even the older kids that...
I'm sorry, if you're an adult...
But we...
My goodness.
But he had a bucket that he was throwing candy out into the audience, and that was fun.
It was really sweet.
I didn't get
that.
any candy.
We did not need it.
I guess,
it was for the kids. And there were a lot of kids.
There were a lot of kids in house. Well, it was Father's Day. If Dad wanted to go, he had to bring the kids with him.
Yeah, but I love seeing the younger generations come.
Got to get new fans.
Yeah.
Got to start them young.
We got to get our granddaughters to a show.
I
think Iris would be all about it.
This match, though, this tag team match was a little bit of everything. It was more of Jay Haru and Pedro trying to prove themselves to Chris. I don't know that it exactly went the way they wanted it to. I mean, Pedro got the win.
Man, is he a spitfire, though, isn't he?
But if it wasn't for Jay Haru trying to screw it up, not trying, but he almost screwed it all up all over the place. Well, the end of the match come, they got the riffraff out of the ring, and then Chris came in.
Did we say who won?
I believe Jay Haru got the pin.
Did he?
I believe so.
Did I put it down?
No, you did not.
I am sorry. It was so...
And my memory isn't what it used to be.
It was very higgledy-piggledy.
But I believe that Pedro got the win on that one. But Chris was still not too overly happy with Jay Haru, and he proceeded to let him know as such by having Pedro beat the ever-living hell out of Jay Haru. So this kind of fell to the floor. So I don't know what's going to happen now, but
It's going to be interesting.
He fired one guy from his family, and then he hired somebody new to his family.
Okay, Chris, I love you, but what are you thinking? You're taking a snake into the nest.
We forgot a part. When we came back from intermission, apparently they sold out of pizza. And in selling out of the pizza before the night was over, Matthew James was not happy with how Alex Cipher did his job as manager of the food booth. Because he should have had enough food for everybody. And he also kind of tried to stiff him on giving them the money.
Well,
so Matthew James fired Alex Cipher.
With good reason.
Again. This guy's been fired more times than anybody.
I mean, that's always fun to watch.
I'm all right with watching that. Now, Alex Cipher is in the back area here. This all happens with Chris and his guys. Chris says, "Hey, Alex, I hear you're looking for a job." And then proceeds to hire Alex Cipher to work with Chris, or for Chris, I should say, because the first question he asked was, "Who's the boss?" And he wanted Alex to remember that Chris is actually the boss, which I'm okay with.
Why did my brain want to say Tony Danza?
Well,
ugh, the 80s.
Oh my God. And so now Alex Cipher is with Chris Benet. Not overly crazy about that at all. But
well, I mean, the good thing is if Cipher gets out of line and starts his nonsense, which we know is going to happen,
it's not going to last too long.
Chris can just pick him up and break him in two. I mean,
it won't go unpunished. That's for sure.
And I'll be there to watch it. I'm all about
I'm
that.
all for that one.
But didn't you bring up at some point that Chris Benet, when does he get a shot?
I did. I brought that up, and they had said that somebody from Pioneer Valley had replied to said post.
Oh, did they?
And they said that match should have some kind of championship implications, like should set up for future.
I hope so, because.
But the problem with that is Ryan Clancy won that, and not Chris Benet.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
But let's just say that Chris Benet has been doing a lot for PvP for going on 6 years now. Mm-hmm. It's Chris Benet's time. Chris Benet deserves. I love the champion. Not going to say who it is yet because I don't want to spoil the ending. I love the champion. But it's time for Chris to face said champion. They haven't faced, and I think it's time for them to face.
Well, let's have a tournament.
No, we don't need a tournament. It's Chris's time. He deserves a shot at the title. He's earned it. Or give him a reason to earn it.
That. Yeah, give him a reason to earn it.
Give him a number one contenders match, and let's go. Because if you put that in front of him, I don't see it going down the way that this match with Ryan Clancy went. He's going to earn that number one contendership.
For one, I would hope that he'd send his lackeys, for lack of a better term.
Leave it one-on-one. That's what it should be.
Because he can hold his own.
He doesn't need them. He doesn't need the help. And leave Cipher in the back, too.
Oh, God, yeah.
So, that all happening, that brings us up to our main event. Mm-hmm. This is going a lot faster than they normally do. For some reason, this night just went quick. And there was a lot going on.
I don't know if it was because we got there, like, as everything was starting.
But it felt like we were on fire from start to finish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So, this brings us to the main event, which was the PvP Championship. That was easy for me to say. Mm. And our challengers were AJ Cruz, who he was cashing in his number one contendership opportunity.
Right.
Versus Hammer Tunis, who was pretty much put himself in contention for the championship.
Shocker.
And he was seconded by his brother, Jason Tunis. And they were all facing the champion, Scotty Wilde. Listen, we've said it on here before. Scotty Wilde is an amazing freaking talent. He came back from pandemic and he had to shake off some ring rust, and he did that.
And he's been working hard to do so.
And he has been on fire. He's put up with a lot of bullshit between the whole PvP, WMW, you know, he was caught up in the middle of that, being their champion, then becoming the PvP champion and all that. He had to put up with all the politicking and everything. That, and then dealing with Hammer, and then and now he has to deal with a triple threat match. And with a triple threat match, it's like, man, you never know which way this is going to go. And AJ Cruz is one of our favorites.
Yes.
I think he's one of everybody's favorites that was there. I mean, how can you not? He's the everyman. Mm-hmm. And he's just a super, super good guy. Mm-hmm. And Hammer, you can't deny that he's good at what he does. But he also was just trying to really be a puppet master in the ring tonight, and it almost seemed like he was being wrong, you know, swerved at every chance that he tried to swerve everybody else, and it just wasn't working.
Well, he got in his own way. And I think what AJ said in the beginning was playing throughout his head as everything was going on. And you could see the desperation in his eyes that I have to win this. Yeah. I have to win this.
That championship means more to Hammer than anything else.
And meanwhile, I'm thinking, please, anybody but Tunis. Anybody.
We've been there once already. We don't need to be there again. I would have been okay if AJ wins. I would be okay, obviously, if Scotty Wilde retains.
Right.
I don't think that we could sit through another Hammer Tunis reign of champion.
No, he needs some humility.
And I think he earned some of it tonight. He backed down at the end, but during this whole match, oh my God, was this action everywhere, and was it hard? And it was it was vicious from time to time.
Bacon came running in and just
out of nowhere.
Well,
he came
the back.
Well,
he
yes,
came out of
but
the back.
We didn't see him coming. Didn't.
Well, no, we were looking in the ring. Of course
all right,
not.
Listen, it was a surprise, and you were just as surprised.
No, I wasn't, because he's always lurking somewhere.
But he came out, and that was one of the meanest looking power bombs I have ever seen. I thought he was going through that ring. It was ridiculous.
I mean, we talk about RJ Rude. He must be feeling it. AJ Cruz, man, does he ever come out of a match without
unscathed?
Being pummeled? I mean, he's so talented.
A punching bag.
But heavens to Betsy, I just... Whew.
But, and Scotty Wilde was taking it to the two of them as best he could.
Yeah.
You know, the best thing that happened was then a chair came in, got set up into the corner. Luckily, our corner. It made for a good camera angle. But poor Scotty Wilde got whipped into said chair head first.
He's still hearing that in his head somewhere.
He said he felt a knot growing on his forehead, and I wouldn't doubt it.
Oh, bless.
But man, this match had everything. It had all the bells and whistles.
You had people gasping, you had people groaning, you had people jumping up out of their seats.
It was something for everybody. It really was. There was, if you went out of there in that match unpleased, then I don't know why you're going to a pro wrestling show, because it had everything. The whole event did.
You know, and then poor Jason gets...
He got walloped by his own brother with the chair.
I mean, it was meant for AJ
It
Cruz.
may have been, but he still got walloped by his own brother, and I think that kind of got the gears spinning, though.
But what bothered me is Hammer Tunis got angry at Jason.
Well, he put his head in the way.
It's like he put his body in front of yours to keep you from being hurt. Oh, be thankful, be grateful, for heaven's sake. Oh.
However, when the dust cleared on this match, and still your PvP champion is Scotty Wilde.
Yay! But like we said, if AJ Cruz had taken it, we would have been just as happy.
If not more so.
Right.
Just because it's AJ Cruz. But Scotty Wilde retaining, I'm all right with that.
I'm very all right
and,
with
that. And what a hell of a main event. Mm-hmm. It was on the right place of the card, that's for sure.
But I think he needs to find a way to keep his hair up a little better.
Oh, Jesus.
Because his hair was a bit of a detriment and it was just all over the place. And don't get me wrong, I think it's beautiful. I love it. And I don't want to see it cut, but I want to see it kept up better because it fell out way too soon.
There you go. Hair care by Anissa.
Hey, I know what I'm talking about.
So, that was PvP Big Daddy Energy, and boy, was it full of energy. Mm-hmm. And that was all wrapped up. Mm-hmm. Your performer of the night.
My performer of the night. I'm going to go AJ Cruz. I'm going to go AJ Cruz because it went full circle. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He said at the beginning, even if I don't win, I still have everything. I have my 2 sons. I have my lovely wife. I have a good life, regardless if I have that 10 pounds of gold or not. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, he didn't win, but he still had a smile on his face because that man still has everything. But he wrestled his heart out. He is so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't enjoy seeing him get beaten within an inch of his life, but I did see him seeing him threaten Tunis with, or the Tunises with the chair. I mean, Jason, run. But still, that's who I'm giving it to.
Yeah. Okay. Man, this was a tough one because there was some really top guys on that card tonight. And I don't really want to repeat, but I think I'm repeating. I'm gonna say Scotty Wilde because he ended up retaining that championship.
Well, it's well deserved.
It's hard not to not go against that.
And he was facing 2 very tough opponents.
All 3 of them are well, the other 2 are former champions of PvP.
And Hammer Tunis cheats just the way he blinks or breathes water. Breathes air, not water. I mean, that's weird. But to still win and do it legally against someone who is pulling out all the stops, who is desperate. Desperate people are scary because they do desperate things, like get their poor younger brother to do stupid things. And he still won. Yeah,
no, Scotty did a hell of a job in retaining that championship, and he just is a hell of a wrestler. Mm-hmm. And I always enjoyed watching Scotty from the first time we seen him, and to now. And why isn't he a champion? No, he deserves being a champion. He's earned it. Mm-hmm. He's worked hard for it. Mm-hmm. The fans that had their homemade shirts for Scotty Wilde that said "Wrestling's Workhorse," that's Scotty Wilde. Mm-hmm. He really is. He's one hell of a wrestler. Your match of the evening.
probably will surprise you, but the All Valley with R.J. Rude and Bacon, that's my match of the night.
Yeah, no, that was a great match.
The championship match, yeah, you can always say that, but
what's the one that really takes you? Whoa.
That one I was very invested in because I really wanted R.J. Rude to keep that championship. I did not want Bacon to win.
And RJ needed to really fight from underneath to make that happen.
He did,
and he did. It was a hell of a match. I can't disagree with that.
Mm-hmm. I almost gave it to the women's because I really enjoyed that one.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
That is my match of the evening. The women's championship match. I've said it before, Evie De La Rosa is a badass. She is just no nonsense. We've said it when reviewing other promotions, when we've seen her, and we've said it without camera rolling. Mm-hmm. She is an amazing, amazing talent.
She has a presence.
We have watched Big Juicy from day one and grow into this amazing wrestler. And not just because of her gimmick, not just because she's happy and she's bubbly and everything else. She's a hell of a wrestler.
She really is.
She's put in the hard work, and it shows.
And she's still learning.
She wasn't handed a championship. She had to earn it. She had to win it. And she has taken on all comers from outside of our regular area.
And I hope that other wrestlers and other promotions, women, see PvP and think, I want to wrestle there. And come, we need a bigger women's presence. But I'm thrilled to see Evie De La Rosa here because she is just that good.
Yeah. Evie and Juicy put on one hell of a match. We've seen them wrestle against each other elsewhere. This match trumped that match. Definitely. 100%.
Definitely.
Different atmosphere, different ring presence, and everything else. This was one of my favorite matches of the whole night. It really was. Your match of the night, the All Valley, that was a great match too. That would have been one of my picks. But the women's match I was more invested in just because of how much we love Big Juicy, but how much I respect how much of a badass that Evie De La Rosa is.
And
I've talked about her little
she
held her own and brought it and took it to her a couple of times and even at the end of the match she tries to show respect and want to wave her hand, and Evie said, screw that. And just because we had a good match, I'm not changing who I am. That she is, I'm here to win. And I didn't win, and I'm pissed off.
Make friends. Yeah.
And I'm pissed off that I didn't win. And I think what's worse than an Evie De La Rosa is a pissed off Evie De La Rosa.
That's why I was like hoping nobody got in her way.
I would hate it for poor Juicy if there's a rematch. That's for damn sure, because shit. So that's my match of the night, was the women's championship match. I had an amazing time at this Father's Day show.
I'm so glad.
It was one hell of a show. It was a lot of action, nonstop. For some reason, it seemed like even through intermission, there was some kind of action going on. I don't know what else to really say about it. It was just a lot of fun. I want to thank all the powers that be at PvP for an amazing show, for for what they always do. Stories that were being told are being continued, and there's no end in sight.
That's one great thing about PvP.
Say it all the time.
Their stories are phenomenal.
They do a great job. I mean, a shout out to all the wrestlers that were on that card. They all did an amazing job. The for the most part, everybody in the audience was, electric, and
Yeah, it wasn't a church crowd.
no, nobody was sitting on their hands at all. Everybody was into it.
I mean, you may have gotten some paper cuts along the
Well,
way.
you know what? You can't trust a 2-year-old. So, yeah, it was just another amazing PvP show. We look forward to the next one. I believe is in August.
August 20th.
August 20th, and it will, I believe, be at the Pulaski as well. Hopefully, we're getting out to maybe a different promotion soon. Let's hope so.
Life's been
trying.
crazy.
It's crazy. We're trying. We're really trying. I'm trying to get out the content and everything else. It just there's a lot going on around here.
As usual.
Unfortunately, it's not all about wrestling. So,
Even though he wishes it was.
so remember, we build them up. We don't tear them down. We're doing what we can to promote and provide positive content, for our wrestling promotions in the New England area or wherever we end up finding one. So if you're liking this, please let me know. If you're watching it and you enjoy it, let me know. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell so you know when we get a new one, and
Give a share.
share. Yeah, that seems to be the thing that's going on right now with some of my videos is people sharing it. If you like it, share it. Show somebody who you think might like it, and get it out there.
Because independent wrestling needs people to survive.
Yeah,
And
I'm not asking for this for me. I'm asking for you to share this stuff and like this stuff and everything else for everybody that's doing it. For all these guys and girls up on the wall. That's why we do what we do. We go to these shows to scratch that itch is for the main thing, but also to support the indie wrestlers and the promotions themselves. And
they deserve it.
They put their bodies on the line. They do a lot of hard work, and we like to support that. And this is our way to say thank you to them, and to just to let them know that we appreciate everything they're doing. So thank you, and I'm gonna end it there, I guess. So this has been Eric Hunting and Anissa from Parts Unknown, and we'll see you at the matches.